Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and Ting and Ting and Ting. Back with some more vibes for all you. I'm Mr. Giant. Yes, I am. We continuing with the Napoleon series. I've been really enjoying this series of Ting, and I hope you guys enjoying it with me. This one is called Napoleon's Revenge, Wagram, 1809. So we're gonna get into this and see what kind of revenge Napoleon was up to upon the scene and Ting. Let's YouTube and simmer.
An Epic History TV History March collaboration. In May 1809, the Austrians had defeated Napoleon's army in the bloody Battle of Aspern. His enemies took heart. After years of French military dominance, it seemed the tide was turning at last. 3 weeks later, Pope Pius VII excommunicated Napoleon for annexing papal land. Another propaganda coup for his enemies. But in the wake of its victory, Austria hesitated, not sure whether to seek peace or continue the war, while Napoleon responded with a hurricane of activity. He summoned reinforcements to join him near Vienna, the Army of Italy under his stepson Eugène de Beauharnais, and 11th Corps under Marshal Marmont, who'd together driven Archduke John's Austrian army out of North Italy, as well as Marshal Bernadotte's Saxon 9th Corps. Napoleon's army grew from 90,000 to a massive 164,000 men and 544 guns to take on Charles's army of 128,000 and 414 guns. 6 weeks after his first attempt had ended in defeat, Napoleon ordered his army to cross the river once more. This time his engineers had built solid bridges across the Danube to ensure there was no repeat of the disasters of Aspern. For the French army, Napoleon declared, the Danube no longer exists. The stage was set for the largest battle yet seen in European history. If you think our Napoleon series has made...
Now, didn't the Austrian army know he was reinforcing those bridges? Wouldn't they do some kind of guerrilla warfare or something to stop that? Maybe they did. Maybe they just weren't successful because, like they said, he sort of built it stronger and stuff, you know, to deter them from doing that. And plus, maybe he had like a whole lot of people watching that place, so nothing untowards happened. Let's continue.
You, a master of tactics and strategy, put your skills to the test in Vikings War of Clans, generous sponsors of this video.
I must skip this. Napoleon's got jokes.
In heavy rain, the French began crossing from the island of Lobau, not towards the devastated villages of Aspern and Essling, but east towards Groß-Enzersdorf, which was soon ablaze from French shells. Archduke Charles had left only a small advance guard to delay the French. By dawn, General Massena's 4th Corps and Oudinot's 2nd Corps were driving those troops back, winning space for the French army to deploy. At 1 p.m, Napoleon was ready to begin his advance across 6 miles of flat cornfields towards the main Austrian position, an escarpment known as the Wagram,
French is coming.
meters behind the Russbach stream. As General Lassalle's light cavalry and Massena's 4th Corps swung left to guard the flank, Oudinot's 2nd Corps and Davout's 3rd Corps advanced towards the Wagram. Bernadotte's Saxon Corps and Eugène's Army of Italy filled the centre. At 6 p.m, unsure of the enemy's strength, Napoleon ordered a full-scale assault against the Wagram plateau. But his troops met determined Austrian resistance along the line. By dusk, the Saxon 9th Corps had pushed into the village of Deutsch Wagram. The Saxon infantry wore white uniforms, like the Austrians, and as darkness fell, were mistaken for the enemy and fired on by friendly.
I mean, their battle uniforms was real colorful back then. I wonder if it serves like a certain purpose for the weaponry that they were using. I mean, it's like they were streamlined, you know, like they weren't tights, it looks like. I'm gonna have to like look into that, you know, like look at what a French soldier had and what is the purpose of, you know, of it, because I know they didn't just have uniforms to look good. Granted, they probably did to a certain extent, you know. They didn't have a real camouflage or anything, but everything probably served a purpose. I would love to check into that.
The units. The Saxons panicked and fled with heavy losses. Napoleon's attempt at a quick breakthrough had failed. That night, both armies slept in the open, while Charles and Napoleon planned their next moves. On the second day, Napoleon planned for Davout's Third Corps to lead the attack, rolling up the Austrian flank, while his other corps pinned down the enemy with local attacks. But to the Emperor's fury, he learned that overnight, without orders, Marshal Bernadotte had withdrawn his battered Saxons from Aderklaa.
Oh, he's gonna get it.
Now occupied. Aderklaa was a crucial strongpoint in the center of the battlefield. Napoleon gave orders for its immediate recapture, but the French and Saxon attack failed, with heavy losses. The Austrians had their own problems. Archduke Charles, knowing he faced a superior enemy, had decided his only chance of victory lay in an all-out dawn attack. He was relying on his brother, Archduke John, reaching him with 13,000 reinforcements, in time to support the attack on the left. But by dawn, there was still no sign of him. What's more, as 4th Corps began its assault on Grosshofen, on time, 3rd Corps, which had received its orders late, was still getting into position, holding up the entire Austrian right wing.
Absolute chaos.
Charles had to tell 4th Corps to abort its unsupported attack until the other corps were ready. With the Austrians paralyzed by delays, at 10 a.m.
And here comes Napoleon, yeah.
A fierce infantry battle erupted in the village of Markgraf Neusiedl, while in the fields, dragoons and hussars fought a giant whirling cavalry battle.
Dragoons, I like that word.
To outflank the other. Davout's corps took the village, though they couldn't stop the Austrians withdrawing to a strong new position on the Wagram escarpment. Meanwhile, a serious threat had developed to Napoleon's left flank and rear. Klenau's 6th Corps had driven back the outnumbered French, with some units advancing as far as Essling, dangerously close to Napoleon's vital river crossings. Napoleon urgently needed to reinforce his left flank, but he was also determined to hold back his reserves for a decisive attack. So he ordered Massena's 4th Corps to march across the battlefield and reinforce the left.
Can you imagine?
A huge redeployment like this, right in front of the enemy, was high risk. So Marshal Bessières was ordered to lead a cavalry attack straight against the enemy center. Casualties were high.
You know, that's what I was about to say, man. These guys are just jumping in and just going full force. I mean, good Lord, if we put more effort into peace as we do into war, we would have a cool world. I mean, all those strategies and stuff, we could just sit down and strategize how to get peace. You know what I mean? By education. You know, I mean, these wars were things of legends. I totally understand that. But, you know, imagine if somebody come along and have a strategy for peace, you know. But then again, you got to change the minds of people. And I know how that feel, man, you know, because I've tried to talk to people and it's like talking to a brick wall, trying to explain to them, because they have the idea of people from other places might be the enemies, they don't like them, and I'm trying to explain to them that people are people wherever they are, and they just can't seem to get it. They're so engrossed in their own nationalism that they just can't think of anybody else as being equal human beings. It's just crazy. It's hard to, especially when the culture is based around that whole ideology that we are doing the right, we're going to plow our way through because we're doing the righteous thing. It's hard to overcome that, to explain to people that war is not really bringing peace. It's just not. Even if there's going to be a peace for a while, somebody's going to oppress somebody, and then it's going to rise up again.
Marshal Bessières had his horse killed under him, to the alarm of his men. But the enemy was kept busy, while 4th Corps completed its redeployment and forced Klenau's corps to fall back.
Wow! And I don't anticipate exceeding that length of time.
Napoleon now assembled a grand battery of more than 80 cannon in the center of the battlefield. This was one of Napoleon's trademark tactics, a concentration of artillery to blast the enemy line and pave the way for a decisive French attack. The Grand Battery fired an estimated 15,000 rounds, setting light to the cornfields. Around 1 p.m, Napoleon ordered a general attack. As Davout continued to batter at the enemy flank, 4th Corps would advance on the left, 2nd Corps on the right, while in the centre, General MacDonald would lead forward 8,000 men of the Army of Italy, formed up in a giant three-sided square to secure his flanks. But despite the terrible French cannonade, Austrian 3rd Corps and Grenadiers of the Reserve met the French advance with torrential fire. MacDonald's giant square was cut to pieces, its men mowed down en masse by cannon fire, and the attack stalled. But the Austrian army, battered by relentless French attacks, was near breaking point. Every part of the line was under pressure from the French. Archduke Charles, determined above all to keep his army intact, ordered a retreat. The Austrian withdrawal was disciplined and well executed. Napoleon had his victory.
And did they withdraw better than...
His army was also so shattered by fatigue and heavy losses, it was unable to launch any effective pursuit. The Battle of Wagram was a brutal slugging match, the biggest and bloodiest battle yet seen in European history. French victory came at unprecedented cost.
Wow, and it keeps going.
An estimated 37,500 casualties against 41,500 Austrian. 4 days later, French troops caught up with the retreating Austrians at Znaim. As the fighting escalated, Charles knew he could not withstand the French a second time and asked for a ceasefire. But he had not consulted his older brother, Emperor Francis, who was furious when he heard the news, not least because long-awaited British support was finally on the way. 3 weeks after the Battle of Znaim, the largest amphibious force Britain had ever assembled,
Here comes the
35
Brits.
ships of the line and 39,000 troops, landed at Walcheren Island on the Scheldt estuary. Its aim was to destroy French shipping and naval stores. But following the successful bombardment and capture of Vlissingen, British commanders let the initiative slip from their grasp. Their force was bottled up by French troops on the marshy Dutch coast, where it was decimated by fever and dysentery. About 4,000 died. Many more became permanent invalids.
Wow.
The survivors were evacuated back to England in December. Emperor Francis, informed of the British debacle and persuaded by his generals that Austria couldn't fight on, made peace with Napoleon. In October, Austria signed the Treaty of Schönbrunn, giving up territory to the French Empire, Bavaria, Saxony, the Duchy of Warsaw, and Russia. In total, the Austrian Empire was stripped of 3.5 million subjects, forced to pay an indemnity, limit its army to 150,000 men, and join Napoleon's continental system, which meant ending all trade with British ships and merchants. Archduke Charles, meanwhile, one of Napoleon's more skilled opponents, had fallen out so bitterly with his brother, Emperor Francis, that he never held active command again. Napoleon had won another crushing victory, but there were worrying signs for the French emperor. His enemies were learning, while he would increasingly have to rely on young conscripts to fill the gaps left by veterans killed or wounded on campaign. Few could have guessed in 1809, but Napoleon had just fought his last victorious campaign.
Oh wow! No, I'm woo. Okay. Now I'm really interested in the next one to see how that stuff unfold, man. This is some interesting stuff there. But I mean, people just giving up their lives and running into cannons coming at them and stuff like that. Man, what a way to go. What a way to go. Anyway, guys, you know, I'm gonna say the strangest thing. Go out and love a stranger. Go out and love a stranger. Be peaceful. Take care of each other. Cool runnings, all right?